With everything that the pitching staff has been through this year, just, you lose three guys early, and then it's kind of this, like we talked about last time, just this all hands on deck effort to get to the point where you guys are now. What is it like to kind of see the work that's been put into the season from guys who you might not have expected to have to do it to get to a regional, just period?
Yeah, that's an interesting not way of looking at it, but if you look at it from the player's standpoint, they don't know any different. So the Jared Glenns, the Brock Peary's, Christian Bodlovich, some of these young guys, they don't know any different. They're just competing, and they are getting opportunities that I think when they came here, they thought they would get anyway. And so we've just seen what I've been so happy with these guys is just the maturation process of them from where they were to where they are now. And you see guys have gotten better from Jared Glenn's a great example, Brock Peary, all those guys have taken the next step. So it's exciting to see. But I don't think they ever came here thinking, oh, I'm not going to pitch very much as a freshman, so it's not going to be something that I'm going to strive for. And obviously with those guys getting hurt, they kind of got thrust into it, but they don't know any different. And that's what's great about those young guys is sometimes there's a little naiveness to them that helps them that first year. And they don't know any better, and they think this is just how it is. And once you embrace that, then those guys have been really good. So I'm proud of all those guys. I'm proud of the entire staff. I think those guys have taken a workmanlike attitude and like you said, all hands on deck, and people in different roles at different times on back-to-back days, haven't thrown in 2 weeks. Everybody's really embraced opportunities, and I'm proud of them for that.
Yeah.
What you saw from Glenn this past weekend, and then also Osman coming back and what Levine did in the final game. It seems like those are all big, even though you lost that last game, it seems like those are all big pluses going into this regional.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you talk about Graham Osman, who's obviously been one of our main guys and doesn't have the success that he wants on Friday night in that eighth inning, and to be able to bring him back again on Saturday and have him have a positive outing leading into a playoff run is huge for him. Levine, the same thing. He hasn't struggled, but the opportunities for him have been a little bit in between to save games. So to get him in for a couple of innings was huge. And then Jared Glenn, I mean, that guy is classic. I mean, it's a running joke around here that there's really no heartbeat from him. Like, he's never rattled. He's never worried. He'll pitch at any time. He'll throw any pitch in any location. It's hard to shake him up. He's really going to do what he does and make them beat him. And he did a good job against UCLA on Saturday. So that's positive for us, because if we're going to win a regional, it may be a fifth game type thing, and we're going to need those guys to give us good innings and maybe extend them a little bit. So those guys should feel good about the way they finished the Pac-12 season and hopefully have confidence rolling into this weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, you took a pitching staff to Omaha a few years ago with Washington. With that wisdom, do you feel like you have the obligation to impart some of that onto this pitching staff, preach that altered mindset at all, or do you kind of let them compete on their own?
Yeah, I mean, a lot goes into it, and that's wisdom is a word that doesn't get used with my name very often. So that's something but it doesn't start now. Like, this is something that we've been trying to do mindset wise since I got here, and everybody's trying to work on the same thing. So it's almost keeping that same routine is almost the best strategy, and making sure that they understand that this is just a 3-game series, and it could turn into a 4 sure it can, but we're going to play it 1 game at a time, and it's Friday night at Fairfield. That's all it is. So the more simplistic we can get in these situations, I think helps them. But telling some of those stories and just what it's like to go to Omaha and sign in autographs and opening ceremonies. And so when you can explain those things to those guys and they get a smile on their face and start to think, man, I want to be a part of that, then you start to get that ball rolling of them thinking that there's more beyond just the Pac-12 and let's try and get to that final goal. So it's more the experience, I think, but we've been working on mindset and all those things since day one. So hopefully they can continue what they've been doing.
Jacob.
Tyler kind of got hit around pretty good against UCLA in his last start, and it sounds like he's going to be the guy to get the regional started for you. What about him kind of allows himself to turn around so quickly to be able to get put back into such a high pressure situation? And what do you do to help him prepare to just turn around as quick as possible and kind of flush the last?
Yeah, and if you go back on most of his outings, not most of them, but most of his bad ones, he has rebounded with a good one, and that's something that I have confidence that he can do. And for him and for any pitcher, you don't want to feel like a bad outing is going to ruin the whole thing, and you need to be able to have confidence and say, I'm going to go put forth my best effort, and I'm going to throw strikes and compete. And if I get beat up a little bit, I'm still going to get that opportunity next week because I'm part of this starting rotation. So with Tyler, it's always progressing to try and get better, and the slider and the cutter and some of these things to progress. But for him, his mindset is pretty competitive, and when he has a bad outing, he takes it personal, and there's a little different kind of chip on his shoulder during the week, and I expect him to come out this week and have a really good outing, and I have that confidence in him. I think our group does too, and I think he really wants to be great for our team and wants to be a leader, and I think he'll step up to the plate for us this weekend.
You.
Hey, Coach. As the postseason progresses, it seems like it's a time of the year where you're maybe more likely to push a guy longer than typical. What do you have to see out of people in the pitching staff and the rotation to feel comfortable with pushing them beyond the typical limits? And how do you know whether it's productive to do such a thing?
Yeah, that's a fine line, and the pitch count thing is something that there's not a whole lot of science to at times. It's more people's opinion sometimes, and I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping our guys at a reasonable limit for the whole year. Justin Fall, I think, extended one time to 130 at Cal in a game that we had to have, and he was great. But I think we've kept them in that kind of 95 to 105 range. So I feel okay with those guys extending a little bit as we get closer to the end. The bullpen guys, we haven't done a whole lot of double days or back-to-back days, excuse me. There's been a couple, but we've usually been able to spread them out a little bit. So I think we've managed it pretty well considering the numbers that we have were a little bit kind of we didn't have the numbers that we could have had with those three starters. So, but it's playoff time, and as guys are healthy, and that's the hard thing, is just because you threw back-to-back days doesn't mean you're going to get hurt or you're not going to be healthy. Just because you threw 125 doesn't mean you're not going to be good the next weekend and feel healthy. It doesn't lead to getting hurt. Now over time and obviously over wear and tear, those things become problems. But we feel like if we can manage them the right way and do it right, that we can stay healthy. And they're going to want to be in there. So it's like you said, it's my responsibility to make sure that my eyes are seeing the right things, whether it's velocity, command, mechanics, those things, to be able to make decisions to get those guys out of the game if it doesn't look right. And but they're going to want to compete, and that's why this group's had success, because they want to do it at all costs. And sometimes you got to pry the ball out of their hand, which is a good thing.
Raymond.
Hey, Coach, what do you know or what have you learned about Fairfield and their lineup and how to attack it?
It's a good lineup, and I think they're to go 36-3, I believe, and good offensive numbers, hitting over 300 as a team. They're a balanced group. They've got 6 or 7 guys with 5 home runs or more. Kind of in that 3 to 5, 3 to 7 range. So up and down their lineup, they're going to put some pressure on us. And I think a team that lost a couple of games in the conference championship week that's going to be looking to rebound from that. So you're going to get a dangerous team that has had success all year, had a couple of losses, and now is going to rebound from that. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know it doesn't matter who you play. This is going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Our guys are excited. The other group's going to be excited. All bets are off when it comes to this. You got to compete and play hard for as long as you can, and things will probably end up your way. But with them, it's going to be a good team. And I mean, to be whatever, they win 30 straight games to start the season. I mean, that's a really good ball club. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care what the conditions are. I mean, that's an incredible baseball team. So it's going to be a good challenge for us.
Jeff.
Kai didn't pitch against UCLA. So where is he at right now, kind of based on, he had a pretty decent outing against USC. And I think 2 of his 3 starts, the Oregon State one didn't go well, but the others did. So where is he at right now?
He'll be back. He'll be back 100%. There was nothing wrong with him, but it was just, with him not pitching throughout the whole year, we kind of ran into a little bit of dead arm at the wrong time. And he would have gutted it out last weekend. But we had a pretty good feeling that we were in the tournament and we were going to need him to be big for us to make a run at this thing. So we held him out, and I think it's going to benefit us this weekend. But he'll be 100%, be ready. I don't know how we're going to use him just yet. I mean, you could see him out of the bullpen Friday night. Like Skip said earlier, we're going to play to win one game at a time. And if that means he has to throw that day, then he will. If we can score some runs and hold him back, then we'll hold him back. So we feel good having him available and 100% this weekend.
Jacob?
Not to push you too far past just one game here, but have you kind of had any observations or thoughts on Southern and Texas? I know that that's not what you have to prepare for, but just in case we don't get to talk to you before you play either of those teams.
Yeah, I haven't done anything on Southern just yet. I've done all stats and kind of broken them down that way. I've done no video on them. They're intriguing because a lot of stolen bases, a lot of high averages. So I'm going to be interested to see the video and see kind of how those things match up. It's a benefit because we'll get to see them play that morning game on Friday. So I'll have a little bit better feel. Texas, I've seen on TV. Obviously, leading into it, I'm a baseball junkie, so I watch all those games when I can. They're a good offensive team, and they're going to be really good on the mound. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. I haven't broken them down as far as how I'm going to try and attack each guy and all that stuff, but I'll do that into tonight and tomorrow. But I mean, this is a good regional and good teams, and to play in front of Texas's fans, hopefully to get a chance to play them in a night game is going to be a great challenge for our guys, and we're fired up about it. I mean, it's good to get over with the regular season and get on to the postseason and get that excitement. And like Skip said earlier, everybody's 0-0, and we'll see what happens.
Last couple of questions, Jack.
Yeah, this regional has a ton of good starting pitching. I mean, you guys in Fairfield, you're going to see Jake Noviello, and in Texas, they got a couple studs like Pete Hansen and the likes of them.
Yep.
What makes guys like that so good, and how does your staff kind of measure up with the elite arms that we're going to see this weekend in Austin?
I mean, the Texas guys are obviously good. They play in a big ballpark. That's something that they always have taken to their advantage, and it's a good place to pitch. And then with our guys stacking up to them, I think we stack up with anybody. I think if you look at Justin Fall, he can beat anybody in the country. It's a 6'6" left-hander that'll be up to 95. That's a good comparison for anybody. With Will Levine at the end and Graham Osman and Brady, those guys will stack up with their relievers, and Fairfield's relievers the same. So I think that starting pitching is going to be a huge thing for us this weekend, and something that hasn't carried us throughout the season. But I think with Tyler and Justin kind of getting over the hump 2 weeks ago, I think we're going to be able to rely on them and get some innings out of them. And we'd love to hand the ball to that bullpen with a little bit of a lead and let them do their thing. So it's going to be tough to score runs against all three of these pitching staffs.
Last question, Jeff.
Not having had a tournament last year, how does that play into just the emotions and the opportunity that's ahead here for your team?
Yeah, it's just experience, and you can't replace experience. That's something you can't teach, you can't coach. You can talk about it, but there is going to be that heart rate's going to be high for a lot of our guys, and we understand that, and we're prepared for that. You're going to see a couple of things maybe in the first 3 innings that may be uncharacteristic, because those things happen. You may see a base running mistake, you may see a walk or two, you may see a missed sign, or some of those little things that become big things when the moment gets big. And once you get those things out of the way, and you get your first ground ball, and you throw your first strike, and you take your first swing, and it all becomes back to that old hat of what you've done your entire life. So you got to get through those first couple moments, and we'll struggle with that because we're young and we're ready for that. But once they get through that, then I think we'll play hard, and we've got a chance to have a ton of success because they'll play free, and it's house money right now. We got in, Everybody wanted to get in and then see what happens, and that's going to be our mentality for this weekend: is play as hard as we can for as long as we can, and the chips they'll lay out the way they deserve to, and hopefully they go our way. But we're going to play hard. I promise you that.